I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on GBN, we're unlocking the secrets of explosive sales growth with a terrific and empowering book. It is called The Revenue Catalyst, Mastering the Art of Sales. It's written by a terrific author and a real pro. His name is Geoffrey M. Reid. This game-changing guide offers powerful insights into decision-making, team building, and predictive sales strategy for both B2B and B2C success. With a quarter century of global sales leadership behind him, Reid delivers a must-read for anyone looking to dominate in today's competitive marketplace. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him on TV today, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. Geoffrey, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you, Logan. Great to be here.
Great to have you on the show. I love the Fifth Dimension, one of my favorite bands. But let me ask you this. Why do you call sales the fifth dimension of business?
Well, look, it really came out of 25 years of trying to discover why there is so little sales education, particularly at the university level. You know, when organization or when university institutions put together their programs, they're focusing fundamentally on four pillars. People study finance, accounting, human resources, and marketing. And although there are aspects of marketing associated with sales, there is really no sales education. And so this really got me curious. And as I went through as a global CEO or my trajectory to that position, having interviewed an awful lot of people for sales positions, I asked a lot of them, why, those who had studied business schools, have you taken a sales course or no? And some said one, some said none. And I realized there was a real void in formal education, which led me to realize that for many businesses, people don't know how to create revenue, and revenue is often the most important part of business. And most CEOs that I know are responsible for creating revenue. So there is a real gap in education, and that's one of the things that I look to fill the void of in creating this book.
It's amazing when you think about it. At the heart of every for-profit corporation is profit. And that profit comes from sales, and nobody's really directly studying it. So it's almost mind-boggling. We study how to count the money that comes in and how to tax the money that comes in, but not how to make that money come in. And I think that's pretty amazing. How do you define the difference between average and elite sales professionals?
Look, in many ways, unlocking extraordinary sales performance comes down to processes, and that's what we try to arm people with when they are trained in sales. And there's a huge variation in the types of processes that people are trained in, which creates a huge margin of error when it looks to determining whether you're leaving money on the table or not when you're creating a business and extracting the most revenue that you possibly can with an elite sales strategy. But underlying that, often there's a lot of emphasis placed on how to uncover performance, and so there's no shortage of training and KPI measurements and actions taken in sales organizations to maximize performance that focus on behavior. But behavior is really just the output. Behind behavior is the belief that people have in what they're selling, belief in themselves and their strategies. And so by uncovering the belief or attacking things at the belief level, we have a huge opportunity to change the mindsets of the people who are selling to create even better sales performance. And I'd say, Logan, that's one of the missing pieces that I've discovered along the way that can create the most extraordinary impacts, upticks in sales performance by salespeople.
How can leaders build and retain high-performing sales teams?
Look, I made a lot of mistakes when it came to recruiting the right people. Who do you target? And that was one of the questions. And I used to hire people that were good communicators, and I used to look for intelligence, and I used to look for all sorts of factors when it came to who would be the best person to add to my team, much like if I were trying to strengthen a sports team and who do I put on the field. Ultimately, I realized that the only thing I can't teach is attitude. I can teach people everything else about sales, and that's fundamentally proven in the sense that there's a lack of education. So I would have to take people and teach them. Attitude comes from where people are, or if an epiphany or hardship or whatever it is allows people to align with attitude. And I used to go out of my way to do testing and to really find people who had the right attitudes, because if I could find that person, I could teach them what they would need to do, and they would grow within the system. And so development is really connected to identifying the people with the right attitude. I just want people who typically succeed at things that they set out to do, and bring a positive approach to what they do also.
Your experience, what is the most critical skill to teach new sales hires?
From the time that we're children, we are selling, and we are taught to sell in a certain way, which is what I would call persuasive selling. That's how people get things from their parents. Buy me this, buy me that, please get it for me. Come on, let's do it. And that's really a style of selling that tends to drift through people's lives. So when people are teenagers, they're doing similar things. Let's go here, let's go there. Come on, let's do it. It's really a persuasive model of selling. And then if someone goes to business school and doesn't learn sales, they come out the other end and they might end up in a sales position, and the boss might say, "Logan, go sell." and often what people gravitate to is persuasion. To me, that is just one side of the equation when it comes to how to get people to do things. So there's a whole potpourri of other options that people have to be able to get people to do things. People want things that they can't have. Often telling people they can't do something motivates them to create the desire they want to do things. So by tapping into people's desires and rather than telling them what they should do, creating a fertile place for them to realize that they want it in the first place often creates a better outcome. And so on the other side of persuasive sales, there's resistance selling, which is what a bank or a university will do. Why should we give you the loan? Why should we admit you? And between those two extremes of persuasion and resistance, there are many, many options. And I would say what I've discovered is that is the greatest missing piece amongst people entering sales, to answer your question.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this. How do sales in the B2B world differ from B2C?
B2B is very much an exercise of motivating teams of people to make collective decisions on behalf of their business. And it's a much more complex sale, typically with multiple decision makers and strategies that have to be measured in terms of points of performance. So it's a much often much more of a complex sale, and it really does depend very much on sales, with marketing being the sidecar that creates a lot of lead generation. Sure, there's a lot of marketing strategies in B2B, but sales is the driving part of B2B. In B2C, marketing is the heartbeat of that particular exercise. And so if marketing can figure out a way to motivate millions of consumers to do things, see things and do things differently, the sales exercise is taken care of through that particular experience. So, I would say that, sales has to carry a lighter load when it comes to finishing off the conversion of services into revenues at the B2C level than at the B2B level. But both play a part, and we just need to be aware of what the objectives are and how the products are positioned to choose the right strategy in accordance with all those variables.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this. What advice would you give to someone transitioning into sales from another profession?
Look, sales is a very accessible discipline when it comes to people who have done other things. And, just going by my experience, my background was public policy. It was how structures are built, to motivate, people to vote in certain ways. But what I realized is that corporate or public policy is, very much like public policy. And in doing B2B sales to corporations, I could use all those tools and just apply them in a slightly different way. So I think that there is a very easy access point for most disciplines to sales. It just requires a level of mental clarity, the right level of communication, and the ability to be able to take what one has learned elsewhere and apply it in a slightly different way.
Let me ask you this. What legacy do you hope this book leaves for the next generation of sales professionals?
Look, what I set out to do in writing this was to help people unlock extraordinary performance that they might not have access to because of a lack of preparation. And this was something that took me 25 years to navigate through, to really perfect and teach a lot of people how to unlock that same experience internally, people that I had a chance to work with and develop within the teams that I was responsible for. It's a methodology that works. It's a methodology that allows people to in a systematic way attack the whole idea of how to create revenue, and not only from a process perspective, which I mentioned before, but also from a mindset perspective. And by sharing those pieces, I believe that anyone entering sales can save an awful lot of time by being way further upfield when it comes to being in a position to score than they would in trying to do the trial and error that so many people need to do, because there's just really not enough structure out there to for people to to have the right advantage when they embark upon this type of career.
Absolutely. This book, no doubt, gives sales professionals and people curious about sales, as well as sales managers and other professionals, great insight into the game of sales. The name of the book we're talking about today is The Revenue Catalyst, Mastering the Art of Sales. It is a must-read playbook for modern sales, success, and leadership. Geoffrey, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you, Logan.
I appreciate your insight, your wisdom, and your expertise when it comes to this subject. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford for the Global Book Network. So long for now.